Hi guys, it's me, Grim Crayon, and welcome back to the Scratch coding tutorial series that I'm making. Last episode we learned how to do how to use the motion blocks and how each of those works individually, like the move block and other things like exact coordinates. And now we are on to the looks category, which is personally my favorite when it comes to coding in Scratch. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So we are going to stay doing the same one as before. We got Dan, the jellyfish, and smiley face, which I'm going to actually rename Smile. Okay, so we want to use looks. So there are a lot of different looks, and I'm going to just go from top to bottom to show off each individual one. So the first one is the say hello for blank second, the say for blank seconds, and the say blank, which are pretty simple. The say hello, it just makes it so the sprite that it's used on says hello, and when activated, and will go away when you hit the green flag again. But the say hello for 2 seconds, it goes for 2 seconds and then it stops. These are very useful for if you want to do a thing where it's like, hi, I'm Dan. Dan, how are you? Okay, you could just do like a whole dialogue thing, and then you could have him say more stuff. Like, if I duplicate this, then I could go and say, I like pasta and cookies, but not together. Or something like that. So when I run it, it'll say, hi, I'm Dan, how are you? I like pasta and cookies, but not together. And then it gives you, then you could have him say whatever you want. There's some code later on that will, I forget which, there's more stuff over here, in the sensing, which will be more interactive. But, for now, we're just doing the normal stuff. So then there's the think, and think for blank seconds, and think, which are just it's the same thing, but a thought bubble, you know? So if your character is thinking, or it's something that's private that the player wouldn't know, but the person who is actually playing, the character wouldn't know, but the player in the game would know because of that, then that's useful for whatever. And with these, you can obviously change the amount of time that it lasts for. So I can make it last for 10 seconds. I can make it last for 1 second. And go away really quickly, or I could do it 100 seconds, and then, he is waiting for a very long time. He's thinking for a long time. But yeah, now let's get on to the stuff that most people will use the looks option for, the looks blocks for. So the switch costume feature. This is very, very good. The switch costume and next costume. So we love Dan right here. Dan is epic. But we want him to have we want him to get a new costume. Like it's Halloween time. So we can go and duplicate this, and we can give him a little let's give him like a demon headband or something like that. I don't know. It's Dave. What sorts of stuff does he like? I don't know. So we give him like a Halloween costume or something like that. And boom, he has another costume. And we can get rid of these other jellyfish costumes and go to the code. And then when it's like this, you can make it so when this happens, you select the other costume that was made. So in this case, jellyfish-A2. And when you click on it, boom, he will be changed to Jellyfish A2. So he's ready for Halloween now. And then obviously you can do the same thing to change the costume back, which is very cool. And the next costume, if you have a whole list, duplicate that, but then let's just color it, I don't know, blue. You go to this, it will move it to the next costume. But if you want, which is really helpful, but can only access one sprite at a time, which is helpful, but only if you want to make smoother animations, more or less. But then the switch costume 2 is more precise and will switch directly to the one you want, but this just cycles through them all. So yeah, now let's get on to the switch backdrop feature, which is very epic. You normally would want this on your backdrop actual stage thing, but in this case we could do this. I'm going to actually drag it over to the backdrop so you can see this while we're working on the backdrop. And in this case, the background is just a white background. So we don't want that. We want a different thing. So let's get let's do a spaceship. So we have a spaceship now that Dave and his smiley face friend are in. But now we can't. But now there's a problem. We can't actually access the backdrop from here. Like, that's a problem. So what you do is you have the switch backdrop to then spaceship, which is very cool because then you can just, when that activates, it will switch the backdrop. And then the same thing with the next backdrop as it is with the next costume. It just cycles through them. With the switch backdrop, it can go to random or previous, but then the next backdrop, I don't know why you would do that instead of just using this. It makes the costumes less messy. But yeah, it's really just the same thing as the other, it's the same thing as the switch costume, but it actually has, like, it's backdrops instead of, like, costumes. So yeah, now we move on to the change size and set size, which I'm going to do on the smile. Smile is going to, it's looking a little bit small and sad right now. It seems a bit, you can barely see it, whatnot. So we want to change its size so you can see it better. But how do you do that? You grab the change size by 10 block or the set size block, and you can change it to whatever you want. So let's say I want to change its size by 17. That will make it grow by an extra 17. Or if I put in a negative, so negative 17, then it will shrink by that much. And then it's even smaller. So this is really helpful for if you want to change sizes of an object midway through a game, but you don't want to just set the size to something. You want to just let the game handle it for you. But if you have a size that you want that is set perfectly, like in this case, I'm going to just 478. But we don't want that. That does not look good. So, and I know the perfect size for the smiley face. The smiley face looks perfect when you set it to size 50. So, but because it's so large, you can't see it. So using the set size, you can shrink it, you can grow it. It just makes the size that you set it to. So now that I set it to 10, you can barely see it. But it is there, I assure you. I just can't grab it. But then if I set it to 309, then it's massive again. So yeah, this is just for quickly changing the size to whatever you want. Normally these aren't used in large coding, like large messes of coding. Normally if you wanted to change it small amount, if you wanted to change it a lot, you would just figure out the number and use change size by 10 and then do when green flag clicked, then duplicate, then you would do 1 4 or something like that. And then this guy, I'm going to change his size back down to 50. But then when you do green flag clicked, boom, boom. It's really simple, really useful, and yeah. But the rest of the coding is a little bit more interesting than all of that. That was just super easy to understand. I'm going to change the backdrop back to the white void that we call, a background. And up next is the change color or set color and clear graphics effects. So these are really fun to mess around with. So I'm going to keep using the smiley face for this one. So the change color effect by 25, it changes the color amount, the amount of color that you, what's it called? It changes the actual color number on here. Mine, for when I have purple, it's at 48. But then if you go and you change it by 25, it will go up to, it would be at a higher number and is now at pink, which when it's at purple, then if it jumps 25, it would be at pink. But then, which is really, really fun, and you can do a lot of interesting things with it. But obviously there's also, you can use negative numbers to change the color backwards, make it go backwards. But then there's also set color. Oh, this also works with fisheye, which is how scrunched up it is, which is pretty silly. Which I think is pretty cool. Then there's whirl, which, whirls it around. You know how all your favorite game developers, aka Danny, does like that weird twist thing with his camera. He would use something like this. That seems correct. I don't know though. But then there's also pixelate, which just makes it super pixelated and is very useful for if you want a pixelated thing but don't feel like making a like an actual something in pixel art. Then there's mosaic, which does that. It just adds more and more of them, and it is kind of weird that it does that, and it kind of freaks me out how well it works. Then there's brightness, which is just like how actually like how much the saturation is, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's pretty much saturation. So if you do 25, then it will eventually go to straight white. But if you do negative 25, it will eventually go into the negatives of saturation. And I'm going to change it back to normal. I'm really messing up these values. Okay. So, and then ghost, it makes it opaque or not. So, like, if you make the ghost value more, it makes it less opaque. But if it's negative, it makes it more opaque, which is very cool. Then, obviously, that's the same thing with these, but you can set the value. So if you want to say 19 or something, boom, it's pixelated to 19. But it won't change again when you click that. If you want to do 309, then boom, it's super pixelated. But if you can always just change it back right after that. But then the clear graphics effect, I'm going to change to 309, because why not? Then clear graphics effects, it just, when you use it, it just clears all of the effects on the character or the sprite and changes it back to its base value. Like, it just sets it back to the base values, which is very cool. And those are very useful for, like, random, like, if you want to do, like, fun, like, art projects with this. Like, if you're doing an animation, those might be helpful. If you're doing, like, even, like, a YouTube video. If you're recording a YouTube video in Scratch, like, because why not? That's actually a really cool thing to do, and I don't know why I haven't done that yet. But yeah, those are really cool, and like the graphics effects can be used for all sorts of stuff. Well, now on to show and hide, which I'm going to go over to Dan because he is our trusty guy. Show and hide, they do what they say. Hide makes it makes it so it disables the sprite and you can't access it. Well, you can access it, you just can't see or click on it or anything. But as soon as you click show, you can click on it, you can drag it around, voila, it's perfect. Because like you can also toggle this on and off in the inspector right there. Because like if it's turned off, if I can't drag it around, but then when I turn it back on, I can drag him around all I want. So yeah. Then the next one is go to front layer and go forward. Go to front or back layer and go forward or backward blank layers, which is the last part of this tutorial today, but they're pretty simple. Front layer would be so he normally goes on top of that, which if it's front layer, it will layer over top of other sprites. below it in the layers, and then back layer, it will layer behind other sprites. You can change this by dragging it over top, but I mean, that's whatever. Then the go backwards or go forwards, it's the same thing, but only one layer instead of the very top layer or the very back layer. So, yeah. Okay. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I hope you guys did learn something. So the next lesson, we will be learning about sound in Scratch, which will be a definitely shorter video because there's not as much to talk about. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you learned something. And keep scratching. Keep doing whatever. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!